Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
He's back again. And, Dad, I talked about my isms, so I won't be using my hands like I usually do.
Okay.
And we'll discuss your isms in another episode.
I ain't got no isms, but go ahead.
I ain't got no isms. Today's topic is comedians. As I said earlier, I was watching like a interview with the late Robert Schimmel, and he was talking about his influences. One of them being Lenny Bruce and the other Rodney Dangerfield, amongst a ton of others. And I got to thinking, what were mine? I mean, I'm not a comedian, but I love comedy and I base a lot of stuff on comedy. So I was looking at my influence. I'd say Whoopi Goldberg because I like her using her brain she narrates and tells stories with a comedic style. And then I remembered when I was little, he had a collection of Richard Pryor albums. And I remember we used to listen to it all the time. And at the time, you're talking like kids listening to that language, but we knew that wasn't language that we could use or we should use or ever use. But he was funny. And he's told stories that we knew about people like our family and our friends that we knew. So, and he used that in comedy. And when I think back to the things that I grew up with and the comedians that I grew up with, like the really good ones, they based their comedy on reality and their past history. That's why I like him, Eddie Murphy, Kevin Hart. I mean, these guys, you know, base it on their previous life and their current life, and they tell it honestly, and it's funny.
And these guys are influenced by the comedians from my era, the Richard Pryors. But prior to Pryor was Red Fox,
Right. And Red Fox, I remember him.
Slappy White, Pigmeat Markham. I mean, these were the comedians from what used to be referred to as the Chitlin Circuit because at the
Pygmy.
time they could only perform in black restaurants and bars in the South because they couldn't go into white establishments. But they were the influences that Pryor learned from, and the many offshoots of that era. Um, Along with Richard Pryor, you had Cheech Chong. You had a number of other comedian types. You mentioned Rodney Dangerfield. I love Rodney Dangerfield. He is great. Uh, but unfortunately, as is the case with these things that happen, most of these comedians are long gone, but their memories and their styles live on in the younger comedians of today. Uh,
I forgot to mention one, Robin Harris. He died way too soon, and I remember seeing his comedy specials. I remember one, it was funny as hell, and he unfortunately died of a heart attack,
yeah,
you know,
it's a good
a
comedian.
few years after he got started, and he was on his way.
Bernie Mac,
Oh, of course, Bernie, you know.
a more recent comedic type who was great, but again, unfortunately because of his health, he passed away. But all good, you know, strong, enterprising young comedians who stood on the shoulders of gentlemen and ladies because
Yes,
remember
I
there
never
was
saw her, but Mom's Mabley, from
Mom's
what I
Mabley, yes,
understand, was brilliant.
all
I'm sorry I
those
missed seeing her.
trendsetters and style developers who went through a long period of trial and tribulation to become renowned. And unfortunately for them, they finally got their props and dues later in the twilight of their careers. But that doesn't mean they were nonetheless brilliant and very funny.
So please let us know your influences. And again, we say hello to the new subscribers, and I will introduce my father for those that don't know who he is. And one of my influences is him. You are, Dad.
I'm a very nice guy.
The thing is about he and I, it's like we're not out there to just like
I'm a very nice guy.
to just go ha ha, laugh, joke, joke. It's a subtle thing. We're more situations, like we observe situations. And I find that
I'm
a
the
lot.
nicest guy you'll ever meet.
And we just butt into conversations no matter what. And we comment on the situations. And the comics that I tend to love right now are the same guys. They are very observant. Guys and girls are very observant, and they make observations on what they see and what they know.
You'd love me to be your father.
Anyway, everybody have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back tomorrow. Well, I will. I don't know if I'm going to bring this joyous.
I'll be fishing.
Yeah. Anyway, so let me know about your influences and let's talk about it. So have a good one and go ahead, Dan. One last time.
I'm a very nice guy. Goodbye.
See you later.